Hello again, this is Joe Azizalahoff. I'm going to continue to talk a little bit about meditation based upon my book on meditation called Metaphysical Maxims. And I'm going to continue to discuss the dilemma of the meditator in the sense that we have buffers or defense mechanisms, according to Freud, buffers according to people such as Gurdjieff and Ouspensky, that prevent us from reaching the communion with the absolute being, absolute peace, truth, life, Atman, Brahman, God, Spirit, Holy Spirit, peace, love. Some people can meditate their way through, as I mentioned before. They don't have too many blockages. The buffers of the ages, the sins of the fathers, they've been spared that. There was pretty good communication with the parents, and they weren't too blocked, and the will was free to express itself. They were brought up in a way where they were free to express their feelings and so forth. So they're pretty opened, so that when they meditate and open further chakras through meditation, they can really go all the way, and they can be patient enough to, it may take a few years, but you can really get to higher levels of consciousness if you're blessed. I wasn't blessed in that way. I was brought up in a traditional society where basically we were very blocked. Desires were blocked. Superego was probably too powerful, conscience, and the will was suppressed. I know this is the case from members of my family who, for instance, my aunt was in an arranged marriage with an much older man, and she asked her father, my grandfather, she said, "Can I be a nurse?" And my grandfather said, "No." "Can I be a teacher?" "No," and so forth. So then you end up where the will is blocked. The purpose of basically of psychotherapy is to free the will somewhat without damaging the ego. I mean the ego in the Freudian sense, not the ego which most New Age, New Thought, and yogins and so forth talk about, the false self system. I'm talking about the ego in the positive sense right now, for the purpose of this argument. That the Freudian ego, we want to allow more of the will to come through, that is to say, more of the id, more desire, more openness to love, openness to be free to express our desires without inhibition. So basically, in order to do this, if you are blocked, like so many people are blocked, and so many people can't meditate, they give up after a while, they just get so frustrated with the continuous flow of pictures and imagination and thoughts and feelings, and they just, after could be a month, 2 months, a year, they just throw their hands up. They can't go beyond that, being overwhelmed. And this is because of the buffers. So in religion, we have many religions talk about what's called positive suffering. Through suffering, we get closer to God. That's an old adage of all the great religions. It is really suffering that brings us closer and closer to God, because what happens is some of our armor, some of our defense mechanisms, some of the buffers, if you will, are broken down through disenchantments, disillusionments, tragedies, and so forth. And it's through these, when you get on your feet, and I can verify this for myself, when you get on your feet, you go back to your meditation, you begin to make strides and leaps and bounds from that point on. Now, I cannot, so basically what I would suggest would be we would simply follow Freud as the safest method. As I mentioned, forget about cults. They just want to pretty much smash the ego and let the id just drive its way. You can go crazy. That's what happens. What happens is they break the ego down so rapidly and so too much. They break the ego down too much. And what happens is you end up, for your own salvation, you end up depending upon the group leader, and you end up, you can't live without the group. You can't live without, because they basically have annihilated the ego, and you end up giving all your wealth to them and so forth. It's terrible, 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 immoral thing. But what we try to do is the gentle way, and I would advocate for meditators who get frustrated and who can't last too long, Go out in the world. Do your best. Do what a good psychotherapist would do with the patient. What they basically do is they rub you on the shoulders like a trainer for a boxer. They rub you on the shoulders and they push you out in the ring and they say, go ahead, get out there. So in other words, what you have to do is get into experience. Get a job, lose a job. Get into friendships, lose friendships. Obviously, there's going to be enough suffering that's going to break you down periodically throughout life. But we actually, in a way, almost to a certain degree, and we do it safely. We suggest that's what psychotherapy does, really. In a safe way, push you out into situations that can open you up a little more, so that the will or the seat of the emotions become more out free. So the irony of successful meditation, and it is an irony, the ultimate goal is to suppress the will and to desirelessness is moksha, to get rid of desire. But ironically, if you begin your meditation with a desire that's too suppressed, then you will never be able to ultimately suppress the desire in the positive way that the meditators, to reach the Atman and the Brahman and the plenum, which is the void, and so forth. So that's the supreme irony of the process. You actually have to go into life, and I go into this in my maxims in my book. You have to go to the best of your ability. You have to go into life, even get into hot water and get out of it, go into situations where you're shaken up a little bit in a safe way, and this will happen in life generally by itself, but we would still encourage you to travel, I don't know, even skydiving. I mean, go on a roller. If you're afraid of a roller coaster, go on a roller coaster. Get into life, get into situations where the net result would be you're just maybe shaken up a little bit. Life-changing experience could even be from good books, could be from art, could be from anything which would in any way give you what we might call as a life-changing experience. And these types of things will help you in your quest for truth. Thanks for watching.